Hi, this will be a quick tutorial on how to use Stable Diffusion for architects and architecture. So what is Stable Diffusion? Stable Diffusion is basically an open source image to text generative AI that creates realistic or artistic images. And that's really based on your checkpoints. Now, right here on Stable Diffusion are your checkpoints that you've installed or I've installed. Um, First thing you want to do is go checkpoint shopping. So uh, you can look for places to look. You can go to like online and look for checkpoints to shop for, right? So I'll be working with ToonU and Realistic Vision right now to give an example of how they work. Now, what is a checkpoint? A checkpoint is basically a large, self-contained AI model that generates images independently. They also have LoRa's, but LoRa's are more specific for a certain task. Now, right now, we'll be focusing on only checkpoints and specifically realistic vision. So this is the UI for Stable Diffusion. You have your prompt, your negative prompt, and then your generative UI right here by default. Now, for your prompt, you can basically type whatever you want. However, the best method I found is to have a sample or your object or subject, and then you describe your subject, what it's doing, right, which is the medium, and then you talk about the environment, which is the mood, the vibe you want to give, and then any added details that you want to have. So I'll show you an example of a prompt that I made. So here's my prompt. It's a sleek modern architectural building, minimalist design, large glass curtain walls, clean geometric lines, open floor plan, cantilever, natural light. Okay, so this is the subject, right, which is a sleek modern architectural building. These are our detail, what we want the object to have, and then here is our setting, or like the vibe. Natural lighting, surrounded by landscape greenery, futuristic looking, but also functional, right? And then what comes after is your camera view, which is photograph and ultra realistic, right? That's the photo style. Your high detail. Why do you have the word high detail or high definition? That has a lot to do with the sharpness of the image. If you don't add this, the AI might make the image less sharp. So you want to add this. High detail also means you get better results in a low res image, but it's mostly for the sharpness. Then here is our camera angle and more more lighting. So the next thing we have is a negative prompt. After generating images a few times, you may or may not like some things you see. For example, if it's generating a bench or if it's generating a shot you don't like, this is where you add your negative prompt. It's basically the opposite of a prompt. If you don't want to see something, you just type it in here. Now we have generation, sampling methods. So far, I don't see any differences between sampling methods, but most people stick with DPM plus 3, which is what I've been using for the past year. And they have schedule types. I'll keep this for automatic. Actually, no, I won't keep it automatic. I'll use Crass because I've only been using Crass. What is a sampling step? So sampling steps are basically how many times the image is processed, or how the AI processes the images. You lower their sampling step, you end up getting worse results. For example, you're missing texture. Some people are not fully modeled, so they end up becoming merged, or like sometimes if you try to do architectural buildings or renders, it's going to be missing some features. You increase this, the details come out better, much sharper, much cleaner, but it takes longer to render or generate your image. The default is 20. However, I recommend 30 and 40. Anything past 40, you don't see a difference in image quality, and if you do, it's very minute. In some rare cases, I set this to 60, but overall 30 to 40 is fine. In this case, we'll be sticking 20, and we'll only change it if we need to. Next is your resolution, and then your batch count and your batch size. We'll be keeping it to default, and the next and not most important is your CFG scale. Basically, it confirms to the AI how strongly it should follow the prompt You lower the number, the AI does more free things. You increase the number, it follows the prompt exactly as what it's told to. So I'm gonna start generating the image right now. It should be fast, roughly like 10 seconds or not. Yeah. And here is our image as a preview. Let's say we don't want clouds. I'll type in on the negative prompt clouds. Right, okay, it's all right. Clouds. And I'll press generate. Now right now the image looks a little ass, a little shabby, and that has a lot to do with the sampling size. So I'll increase the sampling size later. In this preview, it's generating the clouds with us. We don't want clouds, and I think it has to do with the prompt where I wrote dramatic sky lighting. But we can also emphasize the AI to actually remove the clouds more, and this is done by adding parentheses. So add these two parentheses to remove our clouds for the next generation. All right, it's almost there. All right, so the image came out a little shabby. Again, clouds are still there, but they're not so shown. So this is where I edit the prompt. I'll do, let's see, I'll remove dramatic lighting because I think that's the reason why. But I also know that the image is also a little bad. It's less defined. So this is where I increase the sampling size to 30. It's gonna take a little while. Now, while the image was rendering, what I've also noticed is that because I keep removing features from the outside, it's trying not to generate anything from the outside. Also, it did remove the clouds, but left some little fog right here. So this is where we adjust the setting or the view of the camera. So let's set the camera to exterior view. I'm gonna put parentheses because it keeps, if I don't do this, it doesn't emphasize the prompt. So parentheses, exterior view. Right there. It's still add clouds. I don't know why, but this is it's not looking great that it's doing that. All right, so looks like these generations are having problems because the skies are still there. So instead of doing skies, I'm going to do trees instead. And also I set the negative prompt to interior views. Since I did that and combined with the exterior view, it stopped showing me interior views. It only gives me exterior views now. I tried adding clear skies, but I think this is more of the checkpoint than it is anything else, because every time I try to move the sky, it just shows up. So I'm giving up on skies. They can have their skies. And I'll also reintroduce dramatic sky lighting. Yeah, so for this next one, we still do have trees, but it's as before. It wasn't as plentiful as it was. Right now, it's just a few, but these can be removed or photoshopped. But yeah, this is Stable Diffusion when it comes to generating images. Now, another thing you can do with Stable Diffusion, but it requires you to augment it a little, is take actual images and refine them or make them better. Now, what we can do is go to extensions and go download, you basically download a control net. So it'll be availability over here. You see a little search bar. So you will load from GitHub, type in the search bar, web, UI, control net. You'll see control net. I don't see it here because I've already installed it. And once you've installed it, right, which is control net right here, you apply and restart your UI. So that way you can actually see its use it. And you should be able to see control net right here. Now, what you're going to do is that you can have an existing image or not, and copy this. I'll just paste it right here. Right. You can paste the image you like right here into ControlNet. Now we're going to use Canny, and we'll do allow preview. Right. And then we'll press this button, run processor. So this is what it'll do. It'll take this image right here. It'll keep it the same, or at least the geometry of it the same. I can't guarantee its texture, but let's say we want to change it. We want to cartoonify this image. This is where Toonify comes in. So you have your other checkpoint model, right? And we will remove the prompt. Remove the negative prompt. We'll keep the current prompt. All right, cool. So we can see on the preview before it's finished loading that this is the toonified or the cartoon version of the image that we just rendered earlier. Right. Now, the nice thing is that we can also change the texture as well. So instead of minimalist design, we can also add right here, just wood. Wood, and then generate again. All right, looks like I have to do more. Yeah, looks like I have to do more. All right, so I can't just type in wood. But for this next prompt, I can also change the environment though. So I'll type in environment. I'll do snow. And then I'll emphasize the environment to become snowy. You can also remove all these prompts because in the end, you already have your geometry. But I can also type in cinematic lighting, nighttime, and what else can I also add? I can also nighttime. I can also add greenery. Oh, and high definition. Spelled greenery wrong. And high detail. It shouldn't take too long to generate. All right, cool. And this is the snowy version of the image we just generated. Oh, wasn't done loading. Not too bad. All right, cool. Now it doesn't have to always just be what you have generated from here. In this case, I'm going to use an unfinished model and have it generate that for me. So here's an ungenerated model that I have of a Nordic cottage with a sod roof, but it's just a raw version of the building. Again, I'm going to press process, uncanny. It'll take out the geometry, and then I'll keep the prompt the same. And I'll press generate. Yeah, it should be fast because I kept the resolution low, the sampling size low, or at least 30. It's all right. Batch size just 1, and batch count also 1. And again, this is the toonified version of this model. I can also change the checkpoint to get different results. processing. Press generate. Now, also, one thing to remember on Stable Diffusion is that if you want your image to come out faster, you want to keep the settings low and use checkpoints that aren't so requiring or heavy. But if you want the image to come out really good, then of course you do the opposite. Increase the sampling size to 40 or higher. You can also add more batch counts and batch sizes, right? We'll keep the batch count to 1, and also the resolution. But here's what I've been getting at. Stable Diffusion is very interesting when it comes to resolution. I don't know if this applies to Stable Diffusion version 3, but for 1, you want to keep, how the AI works is that it generates images in batches and puts them together. So what ends up happening is that you'll have 3 or 4 models trying to come together in one image. I don't know if this still applies for version 3, but for the resolution, if you go any higher, I think more than roughly 700 or 728, what ends up happening is that you get weird looking images, because again, it's trying to generate multiple images and put them together, which is also why I keep the resolution low. But I think since version 3, you can go higher than that. So what I've done is I've kept it to 1,000. So in this case, I'll do 1,000 by 1,000. And I'll also keep the resolution at 1,000 as well. So they're both matching. But here's our image. Let's check this out in a higher resolution. All right, so my Stable Diffusion basically crashed, but you basically get the gist of it now. I think the strongest point on Stable Diffusion is utilizing control net instead of having to generate your own concept images, where in this case you take an existing image that's already rendered or not rendered, and you use it to either improve or generate sceneries for your existing images. So in this case, we'll take the same prompt from last time and we'll generate after I forgot to press run processor, and then generate. And here's the result as it's loading. See, so we turned an actual image from Art Daily that I pulled out randomly into something contemporary with a different material, different setting. And to view this image and all the other images that you've generated, you press the folder right here, which will lead you into all your generated images that you've made in basically a single day. And that's Stable Diffusion.